Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Horse Guy Mike podcast. I'm your host, Horse Guy Mike. Joining with me tonight is my co-host, Johnny the Wire. John, how are you doing?
Hey, horse guy Mike, I'm doing good, man. We got summer racing's in full swing. We got football season right around the corner, so exciting time in the sports world here.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we've recorded something. I think the Belmont was probably our last time. So it's
Yep.
it's been, it's been a minute. Happy to get back into the action. Haven't really had a big excuse to, but this card at Saratoga is looking pretty good. So we decided to come back, get back in the action for summer and fall racing, and get back in the swing of it. So today we're
Yeah,
gonna be
I'm hoping that talking about the races gets me back into the winner's circle because it's been a rough summer for me. I don't know about how you're doing, but I'm hoping that maybe talking about it, kind of like a little therapy session, and that'll get us back on the winning track here this weekend.
There we go. We're undefeated when we put our heads together. So let's get back in it. All right, today we're going to talk about the pick four card for Travers Day at Saratoga. It was kind of weird. They split up some of the stakes races. They put two of the graded stakes races earlier in the card, and then started a late pick four with the later stakes races. So we're going to talk about that late pick four, all stakes pick four, starting with race 8. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with race number 8, the H. Allen Jerkins Memorial. It's a grade 1, 7 furlongs on the dirt for 3-year-olds. John, where'd you land here?
All right, so this is a big grade 1 sprint for the 3-year-olds. Kind of the ones that can't hack the 2 turns, and so obviously the favorite in here is Jack Christopher. He was killing it in those sprints in the first half of the year, winning the Champagne last year, then winning the Pate Mile, winning the Woody Stevens, and then what happened? He goes to the Haskell around 2 turns. He turns for home with the lead, but then he flattens out. He just can't hang. Being by Munnings, Munnings is a total sprint sire. And so I think he was a little overbet in that race in the Haskell. He was less than even money in that race. So he comes in here, he's a pretty heavy favorite, 6-5. I don't want to, he's going to be on my ticket, my pick 4 ticket. But I'm too deep because I think there's another horse in here that I would also like to play. Jack Christopher cutting back to 7 furlongs looks super strong, but my value play is going to be number 8, Gunite. The Steve Asmussen trained horse by Gunrunner. Loves Saratoga. He's coming off a win in the Amsterdam Stakes, a grade 2. Won it by a neck, but he also got a 101 buyer for that race last time out. So here he is. He's coming back in a month, and he's coming off a bullet workout, which I love to see from the Asmussen horses. I think he's improving, and I think at 6-1. Either way, he's great value if he can just sit outside of Jack Christopher, maybe run him down late. So those are my 2, Gunite and Jack Christopher.
Yeah, so I'm going to single Jack Christopher here on my main ticket. He's unstoppable at 1 turn. He broke his maiden at Saratoga last year, going 1 turn, 92 buyer, won by 8 furlongs. Came back in the Champagne right after that at Belmont, 102 buyer. So, and you saw it, like when they turned for home in that Haskell, he looked like he was going to win. But that mile came up, he hit the wall and faded.
Yep.
So we know anything under a mile is going to be right in his wheelhouse. He had those horses beat under a mile. So I'm going to stick with Jack Christopher. At his price, he has to be a single for me. I don't think for any kind of value you'd do anyone else. If I was going to make a second ticket, like a cheaper ticket, let's say I do Jack Christopher singled on like a $5 ticket, I could make like a 50-cent ticket. I would pick 2 horses, and I wouldn't have Jack Christopher on that ticket. I would have Gunite.
Yeah.
But I actually like the horse that he beat last time out, and that's the 9 horse Accredited. That horse won its maiden by 5 3/4, came back, got second by a neck to Gunite, barely lost. Just didn't have enough room to give him at the wire. I think the extra half a furlong is going to help out, but the biggest thing here is the 4-pound difference. Gunite's carrying 4 pounds over Accredited.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. He did last time too, and he beat him. So
yeah,
I don't care.
He barely beat him by a neck at a half furlong
Well,
left.
yeah.
So, and that was his first time going against winners. So I think a little bit more experience. And you see it reflected in the morning line. Accreditive is
Yeah.
9-2, where Gun Knight's only 6-1. So clearly they know they're thinking the same thing I am. So if I was to do a second ticket where I was going to spread a little bit more, especially since my main ticket's pretty chalk heavy, those would be the two that I'd pick. But for my main ticket, Jack Christopher is going to be my single.
Yeah, I will add though that it says Gun Knight stumbled at the start and he still won. That's a great sign to me. Like he didn't even get the cleanest of trip and he still won that race. So and he was 7-1 and Accretive was 3-1 in that race. So he was still the higher odd horse and he still ran him down. So or I guess he technically held him off with the way it flowed. So, but I do agree that I think if you were going to beat Jack Christopher, the 8 and the 9, Gun Knight and Accretive are the two ones that you want to pick. And so now I'm debating if I should maybe just leave Jack Christopher off and try to get value that way. I know
think
it's kind of risky, but
I
maybe,
think you should. There's plenty of other options in here as far as like including the chalk. I think you either need to take a stand with him because he'll be under even money. I think he'll be 4-5. Go one way or the other. Those are the two to pick. So up to you.
Yeah, like I really want to use Gun Knight. Like that's my main thing. Like in my mind, I had the race going Jack Christopher on the lead, Gun Knight outside of him, and those two just go on. But maybe Accretive can even be outside of those two, like come on late and maybe swoop on by. And if I really do like that angle that he's facing winners for the second time, because a lot of times you'll see horses, they break their maiden, they run against winners, they lose, and then they'll come back against winners. Now they know what to expect, and then they'll look even better. So I'm thinking the 8 and 9 might just be the way to do it. Just fade Jack Christopher and try to, because if you do that, you're gonna get a lot of value on this pick 4 ticket.
Yeah, especially to kick things off. And you'll kind of breathe easy later on. All right. Moving on to race number 9. Race 9, the Personal Ensign, grade 1, going 1 mile and 1/8 on the dirt for Felix and Maris 4-year-old and up. This is basically a repeat of the Ogden Phipps at Belmont. 4 of the 5 horses are exactly the same, and they're all superstars. Latruska, Search Results, Malathaat, and Clairiere. And we're throwing Crazy Beautiful in there as kind of a wild card. So this race is a huge toss-up. You can almost talk about going 5 deep here and just picking all and enjoying the spectacle because it's not that deep of a race. To go 5 deep here, it's not that expensive.
Yeah, I mean, if you were gonna single Jack Christopher, obviously you'd have the bandwidth to do that on your ticket. I don't think I'm gonna do that, so I'm gonna cut my ticket down a little bit.
Yeah. So who'd you land on here?
Yeah. Do we want to get into it? So I'm glad you brought up that Ogden Phipps on Belmont Day, because that was the last time we did a podcast. And I remember talking about the Ogden Phipps where it's like we came in on like Latruska and Malathaat, I believe, and maybe Search Results. And then Clairiere won, and it blew up our whole, all of our pick 6s and whatever. Like, when Clairiere just ran by Malathaat that day, she got a 106 buyer. So even in a small field, we can't pick it right. So let's try to do a little better this time. Now, I think if I remember back to the Belmont Day, I picked Latruska on top because I thought that there wasn't going to be a speed duel, right? It's a small field. I know Search Results has speed, but I thought she would sit back off of her. Well, that didn't happen. Irad was on Search Results that day, and he pressed her right up to the lead with Latruska. You can see that they went 45-1 and then 109-1 in 1 mile and a 16th race. I mean, that's sprint fractions for 1 mile and a 16th. So basically, Irad went. I mean, you could call it a suicide mission, going after Latruska that fast, that early. And really what it ended up doing was just it burned both of them out, and then that set it up for Malathaat and especially Clairiere coming from behind. So if you look at it, Chad Brown took Irad off of Search Results after that race. Flavian Pratt is now riding Search Results. He won a grade 3 at Monmouth on her last time out. Sat her off the lead a little bit. She was in 3rd place. And then, had her kind of tip out and go in 1 by 3 lengths. Because what he did was he saved her for the end of the run, not the middle of the race. So I think Flavian's going to employ that similar tactic where I think he's going to let Latruska get out there, and they're not going to fly out in 45-1 like they did. If you look 2 races back for Latruska in the Apple Blossom, she went 47-1, 111-1. Much, decent fractions, but nothing like super blazing like a sprint. So I think she's going to get back to that, the stiff fraction on the lead, but not a sprint fraction. And I think she's going to have enough where she won this race last year. I think she's going to hold off again and do it again. So I got Latruska on top. So I'm doubling down with my Ogden Phipps pick.
Did you single Latruska? Like if you're for your regular pick 4 ticket?
I'm tempted to. Like, she's the only one I have highlighted, but also I think Malathot definitely bounced after that Ogden Phipps. I think Malathot ran so well, and it was such a hard race that she was just a little bit flat, and then that's why she lost to Clairiere last time. And also that last race with Malathot and Clairiere, there was no pace in it at all. I mean, it was just a super slow pace. So like Clairiere was just the better horse that day. I think there's gonna be a little bit of pace with Latruska in there, and I think Malathot, I think she'll get back to her best form, but I don't know if it'll be good enough to win. But we'll see by the end of the show if I include her or not. But she would be the only other one I include. I don't know if Clairiere is gonna win 3 in a row here.
Okay. Yeah, so I kind of agree with you on the pace scenario. I don't think Latruska and Search Results are going to go blistering out. Latruska also took a break after the Ogden Phipps. All the other horses here have had a race since then. Latruska doesn't. So I think she's going to be in good form. But I think Search Results is going to beat her. I think Search Results is going to sit off. Latruska is going to go out in the lead. I just think Search Results is better. I think she's got more late speed. I mean, they were in that speed duel together, and she was able to hang on. Search Results hung on for third, still maintained a 97 buyer. So she finished that race. Latruska didn't. She was pulled up, basically, got a 50 buyer.
Yeah.
So Search Results, I think, is better. She's younger, 4-year-old compared to 6-year-old. So I think if you're going to pick one of the 2 front runners, I think Search Results showed that she's better. She's developing at the right time, taking the right steps forward. Whereas Latruska has already peaked. Ogden Phipps was kind of her swan song. This is going to be it again. I think there's a good chance she, finishes.
Yeah, you could very well be right about that. The younger animal, the better athlete type thing. Like, I mean, we'll see. It's gonna be a good race. As long as they don't go suicide mission, it'll be a good race.
Yeah. So in my head, what I'm seeing is Latruska's on the lead, Search Results right off, and then Crazy Beautiful is in third with Clairiere and Malathot in 4th and 5th. When they turn for home, Clairiere is going to make a move around the outside. Search Results is going to pass Latruska on the inside. Latruska is going to fade a little bit.
Hey.
Clairiere passes Latruska. It's going to be Search Results, Clairiere, Latruska 1, 2, 3. That's how I see this race. Malathot for 4th.
You have your Malathot 4th, a horse that's never finished worse than 3rd in her life. You have finishing 4th. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just how I see this race.
That's bold, man.
But as far as ticket construction goes here, I'm just going to go, depending on what I do in the next leg, I'm going to go 2 deep here, Search Results and Clairiere. So I've got my low price with Clairiere and my long shot, as much as you can say that, with these horses and Search Results. 7-2.
I guess Clairiere deserves to be the favorite, but I don't know. Her workouts don't inspire that much hope for me.
I mean, she's a closer. She was working out with.
She is a closer. Was she?
Yeah. I mean, all these horses are going to lose the nest once.
Is that good for Epicenter then? I don't know.
All right.
I mean, I'm seeing a workout at 5 furlongs in 104 and 3. Like, ugh. That was her first workout back after that win last time, like 104 and 3.
Yeah, she puts up the tape on the track. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
Maybe that's just me looking too much into workout times. I've been known to do that before.
It's true. All right. So moving on to race 10, the Sword Dancer, grade 1, going 1.5 miles on the turf for 4-year-olds and up. This race is wide open. Got a lot of the classic turf horses in here. A lot of winners, a lot of fast horses. how are you playing this race? Who do you got on top, and then how are you kind of betting it?
Yeah, definitely a spread race. I've got some value plays I want to talk about. I will say my top pick though is going to be the chalk. It's going to be number 3 Broom for Aiden O'Brien and Ryan Moore coming over to America here.
I think
I mean, last year he got second in the Breeders' Cup Turf to Yabir. So he's already proven he could come over and run big in America. Granted, that was at Del Mar. Now he's out at Saratoga. But I mean, I just looked at the last 2 races he's had. So he ran at Royal Ascot. He won a Grade 2 called the Hardwick Stakes. Won it by 3 lengths. So anytime you win a Grade 2 by 3+ lengths, like you're doing some work. So Aiden O'Brien moved him up to the Grade 1 level next time out, also at Ascot, in the King George and Queen Elizabeth, the Grade 1. And then you could see on the trip notes that he led with 3 furlongs to go. Now he ended up getting passed and he got 4th place, beaten 12 lengths. But he lost to some really good horses like Mishriff and Pile Driver. So he lost to like some legit Grade 1 horses that would smoke pretty much any horse in this race. And he was beating them with 3 furlongs to go. Take that for a grain of salt. But I just think that there's a reason Aiden O'Brien's like, okay, he's not a Grade 1 in the European level, but maybe if we bring him over to America, he's gonna look a lot better, getting a little easier competition. So I think Broom is definitely, you got to use him. I think coming over here, it'll be a little bit easier for him. He likes the distance. He's got 5. He's ran 12 times at the distance, and he's finished first or second 5 out of 12. So, and a lot of those are really tough fields he's running at over in Europe. So I think Broom is very logical to be the top pick for this race.
Yeah, I felt the same. Looking at Broom's like time form figures, and then look at Hamo, who's the second choice here, what his time form figures were before he came over and started racing in the US. Broom was significantly better. That last race too, Broom was carrying 135 pounds, dropping down to 122 now. In a 1.5-mile race, that's significant. And like you said, like those horses that he was facing, Pile Driver, Torquedo Tasso, Mishriff, those are all excellent horses, and they'd be,
they're legit.
Or even money here. So it's always hard betting on like European horses coming over here for one race they're not in form. But I think Broom's worthy to be the top pick here. But just because he's my top pick doesn't mean I'm going light on this race. I think I have 6 horses in this race.
Okay.
Great.
I mean, I have 4, and I did not include Adamo because I was kind of going to stand against him. But even though he's coming off a really big win, 104 buyer, so maybe I will throw him on there, just to be safe.
Like you said, like Adamo, 103 and 104 in his last two races out. The only reason he didn't win that race before the Manhattan was because Tribovan got on the lead and went wire to wire, his stablemate, which is what Tribovan does occasionally. So, and Hamo still ran a great race, came from the mid pack, got it for second. Just no one was going to catch Tribovan that day. So I think Hamo is worth putting on there. Broom, obviously.
I would consider Ed Hamo like a defensive use. I don't really think he's looked that great in his races in America, but technically he won a Grade 1 last time, even though it was the United Nations of Monmouth, and he beat Epic Bromance.
I mean, all these horses were all in that race. Like Goofo was in that race, Tribovan was in that race. So he's beating these.
Yeah, I guess Goofo got 5th. Yeah, Goofo was running late, but he just didn't have enough time to get there.
So I mean, even a horse like Rock Emperor, who won the Bowling Green here with a 102 buyer, this race, anything could happen.
It's true. These turf races, you just don't know. We totally blew it on the Belmont day. I think was that the day that Tribuvan won. Like he went out by 8 lengths. Yeah. It just totally who saw that coming? He was 7 lengths turning for home down the stretch. Who would have seen that coming? And so I'm fading Tribuvan again. We faded him that day. He came back with a 4th place finish. I'm going to bet against him doing it again.
No, I'm gonna include him again because the problem is I included him at Churchill for that reason. He's gonna go in the lead, no one's gonna press him, and he can get an
Yep.
uncontested wire to wire. And then it didn't happen. So at Belmont, I was like, okay, well, clearly he's over the hill. He's just a rabbit. I won't do
Yeah.
it. And then
And
he
then he
does it.
did.
I
Yeah.
was like, okay. So moving
He
forward,
went from an 82 to a 108 buyer jump. Like that's like, how do you even supposed to handicap for that, you know?
yeah. So the horses I'm including, I got at Homo, Broom, Rock Emperor. I'm going to include Goofo. You know, we both love
Yeah,
Goofo.
absolutely, man. Gufo's my guy. He always brings a run. I mean,
He's just been burning a lot of money recently. Like he won the
yeah,
Pan American. We saw him at Gulfstream when we were there for the Florida Derby. He won that, and then just 3 losses since then. Got a
yeah.
second, a third, and a fifth. Seems like he's getting worse instead of getting better. But I think it's just the level of competition that he's facing. He's facing Grade 1 competition, and as a deep closer, it's hard. It's
He
hard to
was
beat that hard.
he was way behind in that last race. You could see like he was 9 lengths behind when they turned for home down the stretch, and then he only lost by 2.5 lengths. So he made up like what 6.5 lengths, you
I
know,
mean,
in
he
the
won this
stretch
race.
run. Like
Yeah, he won this race last year.
so it tells me that he's a you know he's a late runner. He's still in good form. It's just with him, it's like flipping a coin, man. Like, is he gonna get there or is he not? You know. So I think you got to include him. But yeah, I'm not like making him my top pick anymore. You
Yeah.
can't trust him that he's always gonna get up and get the win. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, I even kind of want to include Channel Maker, who's just 8
Isn't
years
that your
old.
guy? Like,
8 years old, you know.
I think you always bet on Channel Maker.
I think he's been in this exact race 5 times.
It's what it feels like.
He got 6 in it last year, and he won it the
He
year
won it
before
in
that.
2020.
Yeah,
Won it by 5 lengths in 2020. Jeez. But that was soft turf. So maybe if it's soft turf on Saturday, you know, watch out for Channel Maker.
he had 3 108 buyers in a row. What a
Yeah.
champion!
Yeah, he's a solid horse, man. 3.6 million in his life. I mean, geez, he's a great horse. But you know, he's coming off an ungraded stakes win where he won by a neck. So, oh, actually, you know what? I didn't even notice, but the horse that did they dead heat? How did they? Oh no, he lost. And then so the horse that he beat, Soldier Rising, is I'm actually going to include this horse on my ticket. He's 15 to 1. Because he came back after that race. I guess he dropped down to the allowance level, and then he ended up getting a win. He's a late runner like Goofo, 4-year-old horse from the UK, and I don't know. He's coming off a 97 buyer. His buyers have improved every race this year from 93, 93, 94, 97. You know, he has a couple wins. He almost beat Channel Maker. I think he's improving. It's one of those, you know, kind of like you with search results, you know, 4-year-old, maybe he's improving, you know, maybe he gets up to win. Christophe Clement horse with Jose Ortiz, really good connections. So 15 to 1, I'm throwing him on my ticket and really hoping that anything can happen in this race.
Yeah, so I won't talk you off any horse here. Like I said, I'm going 6 deep, especially if I single Jack Christopher. I go 2 deep in the next leg, and then I just kind of go 6 wide here. Because the next race I'm not going deep at all. I'm singling there as well. So this is a race where I kind of just want to go 6 or 7.
Yeah, you probably should then if that's the way you're doing it. So yeah, I'm going against. If I go against Jack Christopher, I'm probably like 4, maybe 5 deep in here. I've got one more horse I want to talk about. Probably my favorite long shot for this race is going to be number 10, Mira Mission. This horse, he almost won the Churchill Downs Turf Classic. He was winning that race as they ran for home, and then Santine ran right by him. And I remember we talked about Santine on the podcast back on Derby Day. And so Mira Mission came back, almost beat him. And then Ian Wilkes gave him some time off, and he brings him back at Saratoga. And kind of a weird race. He brought him back in a grade 3, but a 1 mile race. So he went from a mile and 1/8 and then backed him down to a mile. And he just kind of had a weird run where he was 5 wide and he got passed late and he got 6th place. And it doesn't look good on the page, but he's still got a 97 buyer. So, you know, he's coming in here second off the layoff. And he also fired a bullet workout on the turf. If you look at, on August 14th, he did a bullet workout. So I mean, I think that 1 mile was almost like a stepping, like a workout for him in an actual race. So I think he's going to be way more fit. And if he reverts back to that grade 1 we saw at Churchill Downs, where he was gonna win that grade 1 at Churchill until he barely got ran down at the end. I mean, maybe Mira Mission, maybe this is the time he gets up, he gets a little bit more distance. He's never gone 1.5 miles yet. So, maybe this is a horse that just can kind of sit, chill, and then maybe finish, have a lot left to finish. He's, again, he's 4 years old. Maybe he's getting better. So he's my favorite long shot at 12-1.
Yeah, I like it. I definitely see it. I won't use them, but yeah,
See,
we'll
I think I should have. If you're going so deep, I think you got to use him. 12-1, man. That's a great value horse.
Yeah, I'm already going deep enough. I got my ass covered. All right. So with that, we'll move on to race 11, the big race, the Travers Stakes for 3-year-olds, going 1.25 miles. John, big race here. Your boy's back. You're big.
The Midsummer Derby, right? That's what they call it.
Yeah, I think your Kentucky was Cyberknife your Kentucky Derby pick.
He was he my top pick? Actually, he was very much one of my main picks.
I think it was him and White Abario were your 1-2s.
Yeah.
I don't know who you had on top, but are you going with Cyberknife here as your top pick?
Mike, I am going with Cyberknife as my top pick. He came back. I
did get shot.
I remember, so going back to the Kentucky Derby week, remember he won the Arkansas Derby and people thought it was a fluke. They're like, this horse really isn't that good. He only got a 92 buyer, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, man, he won a grade 1. He won it legit. He won it by a lot of lengths. He's going to come in Kentucky. He's going to do his thing. Well, Kentucky didn't go so well. He was outside and wide, and he just got tired and he quit. He gave up. So, that happens to horses in Kentucky Derby. I mean, he got 18th place, whatever, scratch it off. So then we see what happens, in kind of the second part of his 3-year-old season. And, he starts, Brad Cox restarts him in the Matt Win, which is an easy grade 3 race. And he got the craziest head bob I've ever seen in that race, because I actually bet against him that day because he was 1-2 odds. I bet on this horse Howling Time. And then Cyberknife got like an insane head bob. Like he was literally leading that race for only the head bob at the very end. And then Howling Time ran by him on the gallop out. But he got the win. It's on the page. And then what does he do? He comes back in the grade 1 Haskell and he runs up the rail and he just completely, does something like he goes from a 94 to 102, major improvement, shocks the world at 7-1 that day. So I'm thinking, why not, man? I think he's just a really good horse. He proved he ran a 102 buyer last time out. I think it's legit. I think, Gunrunner, we've seen Gunrunner as a sire. I mean, early voting won the Preakness. Cyberknife won the Haskell. I mean, these are grade 1 animals, man.
Yeah. I'm not putting Cyberknife anywhere on my ticket. I understand why. And you have like you've been on him all year long. I just can't he beat Howling Time by a head.
It was like a head bob. It was ridiculous.
But. And Howling Time's terrible. I think Howling Time's 10-1 in the Alan Jerkins earlier in the day.
He was doing really good. He was doing really good on that day. All right.
Yeah. And then he won the Haskell and that was a good race. He got a good number. He also got a perfect trip. Like you said, he sat off, he was in 4th. He hit that golden rail and just cut the corner and still only won by a head. Jack Christopher was exposed as a fraud. We all know that. So the only real horse that he beat there was Taba, and he beat him by a head. Taba still ran a great race.
Gunrunner.
Yeah, Taba still ran a great race, but he was pushing the pace. He was wide. I think Taba ran a better race that day than Cyberknife did, but Cyberknife got the better trip and he got the better angle. So I don't think he'd beat him again, is what I'm saying. And I don't know. I think his running style is too similar to what we're going to see from Epicenter for me to pick him over Epicenter. With that said, Epicenter is going to be my top pick, and so that's why I kind of wanted to spread. And yeah, I'm singling Epicenter, and it's why I wanted to go spread in the turf race, and in thinking about probably spreading more in the filly and mare race. So Epicenter, I've been on Epicenter all year.
He's been letting you down, man.
He's not. The only time I bet against Epicenter was when Zozos ran against him in the Louisiana Derby because I was trying to find some value there. But he dominated the Risen Star, dominated the Louisiana Derby, second in the Kentucky Derby, which we've talked enough about that to Rich Strike. The Preakness was the worst trip I'd ever seen. I don't know how he got into more trouble in a 9-horse field than he did in
because he was out. He was in the back of the field when it started. And guess what he did last time? He was in the back of the field last time in the Jim Dandy. Even though he still won.
And I get that that's like that's the style they're trying to move him at, is like move him more towards like a mid pack or back of the pack closer instead of moving him to be forwardly placed. So he's got the versatility. So I think whatever the race turns out to be, and in the 6 post, I think it's gonna be a perfect spot for him. He's not too far outside. He's not in like the 9 where he's gonna be squeezed and go 4 or 5 wide. 6 post is gonna be perfect. He can sit mid pack or drop back if he wants, cut the corner and power home. He's just too good. Like when you give him a clean trip, he will beat any horse here. The only thing that'll get him beat is if he has a trouble trip, and I'm not worried about that here. I'm not gonna handicap based on hoping he has a troubled trip. So clean trip, he destroys any horse in this field, and I don't think you would
say that. I mean,
I don't think you would
I don't
disagree
agree with that at all.
A clean trip, if he has the race his way, clean trip, no one can beat him. In order to beat him,
he had a clean trip in the Kentucky Derby, and Rich Strike beat him. Like, I mean,
they would. I won't. No, but he is the best horse in this field.
I don't think he is. I'll say it straight up. Say it.
I think he is.
Okay, he's coming out. Look at his buyers: 102, 102, 100, 102. Okay, so you're saying he's the best. Well, early voting ran a 105 in the Preakness, so that's already better there. And then Cyberknife is coming off a 102 in his last race, so that's just as good if you're going off the speed figures. Yeah. So in my mind, he's just as. There's 3 horses that are all on that level, not only Epicenter.
And he's already shut down early voting in the Jim Dandy.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead, talk about it. Yeah,
because I'm using early voting in this race. And I think I'm just going to leave Epicenter off my ticket. And here's why. So what did early voting do in the Preakness that was different than the Jim Dandy? Because obviously he looked great in the Preakness, but then he freaking blew the door in the Jim Dandy. Well, if you look at the fractions, in the Preakness, technically he wasn't on the lead, but they were running solid fractions like 47 and 2, 111 and 2. Well, if you look at the Jim Dandy, there was only 4 horses in that field. And Jose Ortiz just slowed him down so much when he got on the lead. Like he went 48 and 1, 112 and 1 in the Jim Dandy, like a full second slower than what he did in the Preakness. And especially when you look at the mile time, 1 minute 36 and 2 versus, or that was in the Jim Dandy. And then in the Preakness, he was 1 minute 35 and 2. So again, a full second faster earlier in the race. This horse has early speed. He is not a late runner at all. So his best asset is his early speed. And I think what happened in that Jim Dandy is it was such a small field that like he got the easiest lead out there. And Jose Ortiz was like, all right, like I've got 3 closers chasing me. Like I'm just literally going to go as slow as possible on this lead. When I think in reality, he should have put even more distance out in front of Zandin and Epicenter in that last race, because really what he did was he just kept those closers right off his hip. And then when it came turn from home, all 3 of them just went right on by him. So I think he might've learned from that experience. Like, okay, you got to have him out near the lead, but also you can't just let all these other horses stay with you. You gotta push the tempo a little bit. And I think with Cyberknife in here, that's going to add a little bit of an early speed element to this race where I think early voting just naturally, in order to get ahead of Cyberknife, he's going to have to push the tempo a little bit. And I think that's actually going to spread the field out a lot more than what happened in the Jim Dandy. So I think early voting can absolutely turn the tide on Epicenter based on the last race and make it look more like the Preakness where he was 3-4 lengths out in front when they turned for home, and then Epicenter didn't have enough time to go run him down. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand including early voting because he's his price. I mean, you're going to get 8 to 1 on him. I don't think you'll get that. But 8-1's a huge price for a horse that won the Preakness and was, under 2-1 last time out. If you just draw a line on that, he looks fantastic. The problem here is there's no other early speed to go with him. There's not like a cheap speed horse.
Cyberknife has a little bit of early speed.
Yes, Cyberknife has a little bit of early speed, but we saw in the Haskell, he's going to be in that like 3-4 spot. Like he wants to sit off that and make like a bigger run. That's how all of his big races have gone. That's how he won the Arkansas Derby. That's how he won, or that's how he's done all of his races. He's not an on the lead type horse. None of these horses are on the lead. If you look at any of these, like look at the running lines for any of them, none of them win on the front.
I'm with you, but
yeah. So I'm saying like,
but early voting wins when he gets on the front.
But no one's going to push early voting.
I think Cyberknife will push him just enough to make it where you're not running 48 and change, 112 and change. Like those are super slow fractions, and I think it was almost too slow for early voting to win because he is not a late runner at all. Like he needs to be out there, 3-4 lengths ahead if he wants to hold off the closers to win. So I'm just saying, I think there's going to be a real pace in this one.
Yeah, and I think with the extra distance too, it's also not going to be advantageous for that running style as well. So, early voting, I understand. Like if you're going to go against Epicenter, early voting is the one that I would pick. Because I don't like Cyberknife. No, never going to bet Rich Strike again unless he's in like an allowance race and he's.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, let's go over Rich Strike. So the Kentucky Derby winner's in here, and he's sitting here at 10-1 odds, man. Like his Belmont was not great. Like he got 6th. He never was even close to the leaders. Got an 83 buyer. Went back to what he is, which is just not that good of a horse.
But you know what? You know who his sire is?
Keen Ice, yeah.
Keen Ice.
The famous horse that beat American Pharaoh in this race. But I think Rich Strike's Keen Ice moment was that Derby. You know what I mean? That was clearly his Keen Ice moment. So he's had his moment. I think he's an easy fade. Get him out of there. Don't even use him on any. Don't even use him in the superfecta.
No, I agree. Same with the number 3 horse, 8 Life Grand. No idea why that horse is here. Same with the number 4.
I don't know, man. 8 Life Grand. I don't know. He had a 98 buyer two races ago
in the Iowa
Derby. The Iowa Stallion thing, whatever. Like it's just a weird race. Like 82, and he won by 7 lengths with an 82 buyer. Like maybe that's just all he needed to do, type of thing. But
he also runs on Lasix. Every single one of his races was a Lasix race.
Yeah, true. But I mean, look at that workout, dude. 44 furlongs in 45.8 seconds. Like that is blazing. So I mean, maybe if you're looking for another front runner, that horse might, maybe he pops a flyer out of the gate. But even though like he's not getting the lead early on Andy's, I wouldn't toss him out, man. He's by Not This Time, who's the same sire for Epicenter. I don't think distance will be a problem. I think that horse has a shot to hit the board for sure.
We'll see. And the number 4 horse, Gilded Age, terrible, another spot filler. The number 5 horse, Artorias, is pretty interesting. The Curlin winner. Won his last 2 races, won the Curlin pretty easily, 95 buyer.
Yeah, he beat Gilded Age and Creative Minister, 2 horses that really aren't.
They aren't good, but he beat him comfortably. Yeah. He beat him by 4 1/4. Yeah. Was basically in hand. Got a 95 buyer. So I mean, if you want to take a shot, Artorias is a good option, which is nice because I think he's gonna take some money, which is better for me singling Epicenter. So I think if you wanted to bet anyone besides Epicenter, maybe early voting, I'd go with Artorias. And then the last horse we haven't talked about is Zandin, who was the Kentucky Derby sweetheart, the Bluegrass winner.
Yeah, I never liked him in the Derby. He did get 3rd, but
I don't know. I didn't like him in the Derby because I didn't think his style would win, the closing style. And then
it was like the fastest.
I was right to fade Zandin, but I was wrong about the style
because that was the fastest early pace, or like one of the fastest in Derby history.
And so Zandin might be worth a shot here. I mean, Code of Honor won this race 3 years ago with his come from behind style. I just think that Zandin's not that good. He's faced Epicenter 3 times.
Yeah,
3 times.
I don't think Zandin's that good. I know, like he's one of those horses to me that seems like he's going to give you a run, but he just doesn't look like he's ever going to like just power through and win. I know he did it once in the Bluegrass, but you look and he beat Smile Happy and Emmanuel, and those horses are not that good. So
Yeah.
I think he's more of a product of the fields that he's raced against. But I do think he's like, if you're looking to play a trifecta or exacta, he definitely could get up into second or third for sure.
Yeah. So that's how I'm doing it. I'm singling Epicenter here.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do.
Cyberknife and early voting for me. Going with the 2 gun runners and hope one of them gets it done.
Nice. So when you make your ticket, so are you gonna do in the first, like, do Jack Christopher
Let's
and
see what I
Gunite, or are you
have.
gonna do Gunite and Accretive
Accretive.
or whatever?
So I'm 2 deep in the next one, then I'm 5 deep, and then 2 deep. So what is that? 20. 40. Yeah, I'm tempted to include all 3 of them. I know the value is not great on that, but I think I'm cutting enough value out in other races that I don't think it'll totally chalk out, especially if I can beat Epicenter. I think I could get some value on that Travers if we can beat Epicenter. Maybe Broom or Adamo wins. Okay, that's such a deep race that people are going to spread there. And then only going Latruska and Malafat in the personal Ensign, I think is going to result in some value if you can beat Clairiere, because I think she's going to be the favorite. So yeah, I think I might just go all 3: Jack Christopher, Gunite, Accretive. I mean, that's like if I had to play a trifecta, that's what those are the 3 horses I would do in a trifecta box. So hopefully just have those 3 run on and then just not even worry about it.
All right, makes sense. And then I'm going. So my ticket is singling Jack Christopher, going search results in Clairiere, and then in the 10th race, I'm going at Hamo, Broom, Rock Emperor, Goofo, Tribuvan, and Channel Maker, and then I'm singling Epicenter. I think it's $24.
How much is your ticket?
Yeah, $24.
Okay, mine's gonna be $30. I'm gonna go with the 3 horses I just mentioned, and then just 2 horses, Latruska, Malafat, and then 5 deep in the turf race: Adamo, Broom, Goofo. My two long shots are Soldier Rising, Mira Mission, and then trying to beat Epicenter. He Epicenter. Another last point on Epicenter: he has not won a Grade 1 race yet. He's only won Grade 2 races in his life, so he keeps getting second in these Grade 1s. I'm just saying, watch out. He needs. That's another ceiling he's got to break through. Cyberknife already has 2 Grade 1 wins in his book, so Cyberknife definitely my top pick. And then I think early voting, he won a Grade 1 Preakness. Why not get back in the well early voting? So there you go. That's my ticket, $30. Hopefully we can break this losing streak.
Sounds good. All right. We'll post our picks on Twitter. Follow along. I don't know when we'll do our next podcast. Maybe something for Pacific Classic Day next week. We'll see.
Flightline back at Del Mar.
We'll see if we can get it recorded Wednesday night. Because I'll be on the road Thursday night. We got the UCF game. So college football back. Hot D, House of the Dragons back.
Oh,
we got full swing horse action. So fall is here. Summer's ending. Fall's here. Let's get it started. Thanks, everyone. This is the Horse Guy Mike podcast. May the juleps be with you. See you.